Well, ladies and gentlemen, earlier this week we got to see the vice presidential candidate debate between Paul Ryan and Joe Biden. And throughout the entire process, we heard this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, here we go.
Average dude has something to say about...
Yeah, you knew this episode was coming up, didn't you? Episode 30, dealing with the vice presidential debate that we just had earlier this week. I needed to take a break from this one because there was a whole lot. First, Joe Biden versus Paul Ryan. Actually, it seemed like they were against us. You know what? They were both bad, but they were bad at different times. It almost seemed like they were a tag team. That's what it felt like to me. The first half, Biden was absolutely awful, and then it's like he tagged Paul, you're in. It's like a professional wrestling tag team match. And then Paul Ryan stepped in to be the butthole for the second half. Wow. Let me go ahead and say this. Martha, the moderator, she rocked. Martha, you were awesome. She gave both candidates the business, which was definitely needed. One of her questions, she wanted them to talk about religion and what role it had for each of them. That would have been a great question for the first debate with Obama, supposedly Muslim, supposedly, and a Mormon. That would have been an amazing question for the first debate for the presidential election. The next president who's going to be president. Wow. Let me say this. Back and forth, we kept hearing from Biden and Paul Ryan. We, in other words, America, cannot afford this. We never can afford what the other party wants. But it's absolutely essential that we spend the money on what our party wants, right? I've noticed that. I mean, it's like a family of hoarders in a hoarder house. The house is full of junk that needs to go, otherwise the house falls apart. And yet it's always the other family member stuff that's the junk, right? That's the stuff that has to go. But if it's your stuff, it has memories and it has to stay, right? Yeah, we see what the priorities are. It always seems to be junk when it belongs to someone else. So let's go ahead and start. Like I said, both were horrible. Biden was awful in the first half. I'll get to Paul Ryan, but let's start with Joe and the crap factor that is Joe Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden, wow. His ridiculous stuff started at 7 minutes and 45 seconds into the debate. It was in reference to the attacks against the U.S. embassies in the Middle East that happened around September 11th earlier this year, just about a month ago. Oh, wow. Joe, quote, "This talk about weakness. I don't understand what my friend is talking about." Seriously, Joe? Seriously? On September 11th, no less, 2012, and you don't know? The rest of the world knows what he's talking about. Apparently you are the only one who doesn't know what he's talking about. Watch my episodes, Joe, that I did on the situation in the Middle East around September 11th of this year, 2012, if you need to be filled in by an average dude. I would expect the vice president to be better informed. Wouldn't you, ladies and gentlemen? Holy heaven. And he didn't stop. It's like a train going off the tracks and just continuing on. Quote, "This is the guy," in other words, Obama, "who has repaired our alliances so that the rest of the world follows us again." Oh, they're definitely following us again, right? Mission accomplished, Joe. The rest of the world isn't following us. Oh, wow. What have you been smoking lately? Hoo-hoo. Quote, because he just kept going, "This is the guy," Obama again, "who brought the entire world, including Russia and China, to bring about the most devastating efforts on Iran." In what dream world are you living in, Biden? where the entire world, Iran is still a problem. So much for the entire world, Russia, China, U.S. and all, it's still a problem. Continue, quote, from Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, these are the most crippling sanctions in the history of sanctions. Period. End quote. And yet they haven't worked. Have they, Joe? We lost people. They were killed. Joe, here's a hint for the two of you, Joe Biden and Paul Ryan, and everyone else in the political scene. Sanctions don't work in the Middle East. And that is free advice from an average dude. Oh. But if you need to know what the best was yet to come, get ready for the drum roll. Oh yes, Joe Biden was the master of the understatement and the absurd that night with but let's go over his most profound statement of the night. Joe Biden. Get ready. 1, 2, 3. This is a bunch of stuff. Wow. You certainly broadened my horizons, Joe, with that bit of wisdom. My left butt cheek could have done a better job than you did. My butt could have done a better job speaking, and all it had to do was fart the whole night. And then Joe follows up near the end of his crap factor, and he says, facts matter. They do? In politics? Since when? Since when do facts matter? Oh, okay, that's enough of Biden. Let's go into Paul Ryan. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for me to give some love out to Paul Ryan because just like Biden, they're both career politicians, and boy, does it ever show. And Biden, quite frankly, just proved to be the ultimate wazoo in the first half, and then Paul Ryan tagged in and decided to give America a whole bunch of crap as well. He started off, get ready, Republicans and Democrats have worked together. I know you people aren't used to that. He was referencing the Democratic Party. Wow, Paul Ryan. Pot called, kettle says you, and the Republican Party are pitch black. For the last 2 years, I will hammer down on the Democratic Party when they screw around, but they have actually tried to make concessions, and the Republican Party has treated it like a Burger King commercial where they have to have it their way the whole way or they throw a fit. Wow! Talk about the pot calling the kettle black, Paul, and you too. You've been involved in that one as well. Paul Ryan and religion. Like I said earlier, religion was brought up, and Biden's not going to force it on us. Thank you, Biden. Thank you very much for that. Paul Ryan, no, not so much. I'm going to force it down your throats. Okay. Paulie boy, Paulie. There's a difference between trying to spiritually save and trying to enslave. Okay? I mean, Christians seem to think that they're under attack. Are you go overseas, you morons? If you think that you're going to have it better elsewhere, this is the best country that you can be a Christian in right now. Go elsewhere and find out what it's like. If the Jews were in charge, like some people think that they are, kosher, you would never be able to eat ham or pork or bacon. Don't eat shellfish. You will not, by law, be able to eat shellfish. Kosher would be forced upon you. They would have a fit if Islam was forced upon people by law, by force. Be prepared to face east, everybody. Separation of church and state is a good idea. Republican Party, how about actually honoring that for once? Oh, God. Last question from the moderator. Martha brought up that we were all, I've gone over this in one of my episodes about the campaign ads, tired of the negative campaign ads tearing each other down. And she asked, I quote, "Are you ever ashamed of your tone?" Wow. No kidding. Do either of them regret their tones? Paul Ryan's answer to negative campaign ads is to do another negative campaign ad on the spot, pointing the finger at the Obama administration rather than taking any portion of the blame for the negative campaign ads on his end. Good Lord, Paul. Way to go. Biden went first, and it showed that he had that he was ashamed of some things, and you just simply that's good to know, Paul, that the Republican Party doesn't feel that they have had any share of the pie that is the negative campaign ads. Thanks a bunch, Paul. Nice to know that that's where you stand. You're an asshole. Okay, and then closing comments. He just kept going. On closing comments, Martha said, "What can each of you offer as individuals?" And Paul Ryan interjected. He immediately answers, "Honesty." Wow. Honesty? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Both candidates talking about facts and honesty, both candidates acting like buttholes, and both candidates completely full of what regularly comes out of buttholes. Take care, everyone. Heaven help us all.